Hanging wallpaper can be easy if you follow a few simple rules. Hanging the first piece straight is the most important. If you get that right, the rest will be easy. Starting in the corner, use the roll to measure and gently mark the wall with a pencil, about 2 centimeters wider than the paper. Then, using a plumb bob, which is a string with a heavy weight on the end, hold the string on the pencil mark. The weight will pull the string straight. Draw short lines which will give you a guide for your first piece. Measure the length with a steel tape and add 10 centimeters. This will give you 5 centimeters at the top and the bottom to trim. Before you cut your paper, look at your design. Decide where you want the image to sit on your wall. Read the label. The information on it will help you to get a good job. It tells you the size of the pattern repeat, which is not always obvious to the eye. Tell you if you have to paste the wall or the paper, and this depends on the type of paper you're using. If you're pasting the paper, it will give you the time you need to let it soak. I always use a mixed adhesive. It's the perfect consistency to use straight from the tub and is much stronger than glues that you mix yourself. If you're putting up a paste the wallpaper, you can apply the glue straight from the tub. A roller is good and covers quickly, but you will need a brush for the edges. Paste the wall wider than the piece of paper, so you always have a wet edge. Match your pattern from the top. Smooth the paper down with a soft brush, brushing out air bubbles to the sides. Trim the excess from the top and bottom. Using a plastic spatula, push the paper close to the ceiling or skirting, and using a very sharp snap-off knife, carefully cut through the paper. Always use clean water and a sponge to remove surplus paste from the surface of your paper. Once it's dry, it won't come off, so you must wash it off as you go, and regularly clean your water, or you'll be putting glue back onto your paper. Internal corners. Always cut into them. Never take the wallpaper around a corner in one piece. The easiest thing is to measure the distance into the corner in 3 places: top, middle and bottom. Having cut the full length of paper, lay it on the table and measure and mark the width of the gap, adding 1 centimeter. This will go around the corner a small amount. Cut the paper on the table and then slot it into the corner. The rest of the piece can then be matched, but needs to be straight, so repeat the exercise with the plumb bob or a spirit level to ensure it's straight. Because your leading edge is straight, you can now continue with your wallpapering along the wall. The chances are you'll need to cut around an obstacle, such as a light switch. Make sure the power is switched off and loosen the screws. Exactly the same applies to a socket. Hang your paper as in previous lengths over the obstacle. Pierce the paper and make diagonal cuts from the centre to each corner. Lightly mark the outline of the fitting and trim. Using your spatula, gently ease the paper under the fitting. If your paper needs to be pasted on a table, here are a few useful tips. The important thing is to work as clean as possible and not to get paste on the surface. Also, try to work quickly so that the paste doesn't start to dry. A roller is a good way to apply the paste. Lay the paper on the table and roller away from you over the edge. Do not pull the roller back over the edge or you'll get paste on the front. Paste down the middle of the paper and away from you. Then move the paper towards you to the edge of the table and pull the roller over the edge. This way the paste doesn't get on the table or the paper. Once you have pasted the sheet, fold it with the smaller fold at the top and the larger fold at the bottom. Marking the paper with a T for top is really helpful, particularly with a design where the top and bottom are not obvious, such as stripes. And remember, paper doesn't always come off the roll the right way up. Leave the paper to soak. By doing this, the paper will expand and you will not get lots of bubbles. Put the paper up as before, and because you've used a strong paste, when the paper dries it will stay where you put it and not shrink back to its original size before wet. When your paste isn't strong enough, you can come down the next morning to horrible white spaces between the paper. In the trade we call it shrink back. A felt roller is a really useful tool for smoothing the seams as it's gentle. It is particularly useful for flock papers, which are very fashionable.